So hello, welcome back guys. In this video, we are going to learn about the APIs and the methods of API. Let's start. So guys, before moving forward to the API, I would like to tell you something about the data. What exactly happened guys? When we request, this is the client, this is the server. We request something like www.instagram.com. It gives is that request goes to the server and server gives it back to the response to us in the form of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What at the end of the day, what we are getting it? We are getting the data. Okay, we are getting the data. That is what the data. Okay. Now let's understand. Now when we request it, the server gives us the data. That data is generally comes to us in the form of two ways. First is XML in the form of XML and second one is JSON format. Okay. तो जब हमने क्या करा रिक्वेस्ट करा डेटा को तो डेटा जो जनरली हमें मिलता है वो मिलता है हमें इन द फॉर्म ऑफ XML या फिर JSON फॉर्मेट में मिलता है ओके नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द मीनिंग ऑफ XML एंड JSON XML means extensible markup language and the JSON is JavaScript object notation. Okay, so extensible markup language, let's see how XML data looks like. So this is the XML data. I'm opening this page. So you can see that the code is in the form of script, in the form of text. You can see that. Okay. So XML is what? Extensible markup language, and markup language is something that allow us to write in the text. As simple as that. Now XML resembles like HTML, because what happened at the end of the day, we write in the HTML, we write HTML like heading, paragraph in the tag, so that is the markup language that is allowing us to write these things in the tag. As simple as that. Now let's see the JSON data. Now let's see the JSON data, how JSON data looks like. Let's see. That is the JSON data. You can see guys, that is the JSON data. Now guys, it is resembles like JavaScript object, but it is not the JavaScript object. Why? Because in JSON data, keys keys are always in the double quotes. Keys are always in the double quotes. Not even in a single quote. Not even in the single quote. If you are seeing something like that, that keys are in the string, keys are in the double quote, keys are in the double quotes, and you are getting it, you are seeing that particular data, so for sure you can say that that is the JSON data that you are seeing. That is the JSON data that you are seeing. While in JS object that we have studied, the keys are not in the double quotes. So to remember that what is the how to you recognize the JSON data, keys are always in the double quotes, not even in the single quotes. If you are seeing the data, if you are seeing that keys are in the double quotes, then for sure you can say that this is the JSON data. As simple as that. Now since since we are seeing we are seeing that JSON data is in the string. This JSON data is in the string. I can see that. देखो क्या है, JSON data हमारे string में ही तो है, एक तरीके से string में ही है. Okay. So so we cannot use so we cannot use we cannot use dot operator dot operator just like just like the JavaScript object. Now let's suppose if we want to access something from the JavaScript object, that we can use the dot operator for accessing any property. Let's suppose I'm making a I'm making an object like this. Okay, that is the name, Priyanshu, age 21. Now I want to access the name. So what I do, I just obj dot name. If I console it, I will get Priyanshu, as simple as that. But we cannot do this in the JSON format, in JSON data, because that is not the JavaScript object, as simple as that. So to make so to make so to use dot operator we have to convert that JSON object, that JSON data, into usable JavaScript object, Now for that we have two methods. For that, guys, we have two methods. Let's suppose we have a JSON. Okay, now JSON data we have to convert into a usable JavaScript object. Then we have one method, that is parse. We have to parse the JSON data. We have to parse the JSON data. Now I simply write JSON dot parse, and this function accepts JSON string. The data that JSON string is nothing but that is the JSON data, as simple as that. This is the JSON data. तो जो JSON data आपको मिल रहा है वो सिंपली आप इसमें यहाँ पे डाल दोगे, ठीक है. So it will convert into the usable. This parse method, this JSON.parse method will converts JSON string into the usable JavaScript object और JS array. It depends on the context. ठीक है, कि हमें array मिल रहा है JSON डेटा में या फिर ऑब्जेक्ट मिल रहा है. ठीक है, ऐसे भी हम बना सकते हैं, जैसे ऐसे बना देते हैं ना हम, तो हम array के अंदर भी ऑब्जेक्ट बना सकते हैं, ऐसे भी हमें डेटा मिल सकता है. ओके, so it is depend on the context, it is depend on the situation, that how we are getting the JSON data. Now let's see, that is the JSON.parse method. I hope you will get it. It will convert into the JSON data or JSON string into the usable JavaScript object, as simple as that. Now if I want to convert the JS object into the JSON format or JSON string, then I have a function, then we have a function, that is stringify. Okay, so that is JSON dot stringify. I hope, guys, you will get it about the JSON. Okay, so that is, it accepts JSON JS object or array and convert the data into JSON string. Okay, now question arises, which one is most used, JSON or XML? When we request something from the server gives us response generally in the form of XML and JSON format. The data that we get generally in the form of XML or JSON format. Most of the times, let's suppose if 100 times you are requesting something from the server, 95 times you will get JSON data. 95 times you will see the JSON data. So that is important. Okay, now let's understand about, so that is all about the JSON and XML. Now let us understand about the API. Let us understand about the API. Now what is API? API is application programming interface. Application programming interface. In technical terms, I would say these are the endpoints. These are the endpoints. Now let's understand the API by story. Let's suppose there is a boy there is a boy and there is a girl. They went they went to restaurant for eating something. They went to restaurant for eating something. Now when they went to the restaurant, what happens? What happens? That is the table. Okay, that is the table. Now what happens? Waiter comes, waiter comes and take waiter comes with the notepad. Waiter comes with the notepad and take the order. As simple as that. That what they want to eat. They just ordered the food. They just order the food to the waiter. What they want to eat. The waiter goes to the kitchen. Waiter goes Waiter goes to the kitchen or to the chef for cooking that particular thing that they are demanding for. As simple as that. Now guys, let us understand about guys, they both have a task. Their task is to just order the food. Their task is to just order the food. They don't want how the food is being cooked by the chef. What are the ingredients that the chef is used for making the food? They don't want that. They don't want the detail that they don't want to take care about that how the food is being cooked. As simple as that. They just want they just ordered the food and they just want the food that they want to eat. As simple as that. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. So in that scenario, what happened at the end of the day? At the end of the day, they both are indirectly talking. They both are indirectly talking to the chef, talking to the chef. But who is the mediator? Who is allowing them to talk indirectly? Indirectly. I'm not saying that they are talking. I'm just saying that that is the waiter who is allowing them to talk indirectly with the chef. Can I say that? So this waiter is API in that scenario. So is API is the so is this waiter is the API in that scenario. Why? Because they want they want. Now let us come into the technical term. They want data. They want data. They don't matter how the data is coming to them, what are the things are involved behind the scene, how the data is being sent to them. They don't want that. They just want the data. They just use the API will tell the request to the server that the user is demanding the data, and that is sent back to the users with the help of API. As simple as that. So that is what exactly the meaning of API. These are the endpoints. These are the endpoints. इसके बाद इनको नहीं मालूम ना इनको कहाँ जाना है, you know. इसके बाद नहीं मालूम, ये है रिस्ट्रिक्शन, किचन में थोड़ा ना जाएंगे. इन्होंने ऑर्डर कर दिया फूड को कि ये खाना चाहते हैं. ठीक है, तो वेटर ने क्या बोला, वेटर गया और क्या हुआ, उन्होंने ऑर्डर लिया नोटपैड से कि ये इनको खाना है और शेफ को दे दिया, शेफ को बनाना है. तो दिस वेटर इज API is here. Okay, so this waiter is API. So these are the endpoints. They act as an agent. I would say that APIs act as an agent between two software to interact with each other under certain rules. As simple as that. I hope guys कि आपको API समझ में आया होगा what exactly the meaning of API is. Now let us understand about the API with the help of another example. Let's suppose ticket booking platform. We are taking Book My Show. We are taking Book My Show. So this is the Book My Show. The user books the ticket. The user books the ticket using Book My Show. Using Book My Show. Now Book My Show has a deal with different theater. Book My Show have a contract, or I would say that have relation. I would say that have a contract with the different theaters. I would say as simple as that. Okay, so they have a deal with the different theaters that if the user is demanding to watch the movies in your theater, then we will book it using uh, our platform, that is Book My Show. So that Book My Show is what? This Book My Show is API here. This Book My Show is a API here, as simple as that. Okay guys, so they are allowing us to book the ticket of the movies of different theaters. So they are, Book My Show is connected with the different theaters. I would say that is the correct word to be said here, uh, to be tell here. Okay, so Book My Show is connected with the different theaters, and so that is allowing Book My Show. The Book My Show is allowing user to book the tickets of different theaters to the users, as simple as that. So that user is a client, then Book My Show is the API. I hope guys कि आपको API के बारे में समझ में आ गया होगा. Now when we call the API, we have uh, before moving forward to the API, I would like to see you JSON data. So that is the JSON data that I have made manually. Okay, that is manually. Now we here the JSON data I have made it by myself, and when we call the API, we will get it directly. We will not we will not use directly. We will just direct call करेंगे हम, हमें डेटा मिलेगा, देन उसको यूज करेंगे. अभी मैंने ये क्या करा, अभी मैंने खुद से डेटा को बनाया है, इसको जेसन डेटा को मैंने खुद से बनाया है. सो यू कैन सी दैट मैंने जेसन डेटा को खुद से बना लिया है. ठीक है, तो ये ऑब्जेक्ट्स था, इसमें स्ट्रिंग आप देख सकते, जो कीज हैं वो डबल कोटेड फॉर्म में, यू कैन सी दैट दैट कीज आर इन द double quoted form. That means that is the JSON data for sure, I can say that. Okay, so this is a string. I cannot use a dot operation here, cannot work on a string here क्योंकि object ही नहीं है, because that is not the object, you know. So if I have a JSON string, I cannot work on it directly. I need to parse them. So for that what I have told you that we have a JSON dot parse method. Okay, so parse data dot one, that means one हो गया ये, that is the 01 address, like address, and dot city. So Mathura should be the answer. Okay, so I am opening console, inspect console, Mathura, you can see that. So that is the JSON data, but we will not do like this. We will not do like this. Okay, let's suppose if we have a vast data, so it will becomes quite heavy to manage it, you know. File becomes quite heavy when we have a vast data, you know. So that is not the correct way. That is not the correct way. So we have something to call the API sending request through JS फाइल. हम क्या करेंगे गाइस, JS फाइल में रहकर ही रिक्वेस्ट सेंड करेंगे, मतलब API कॉल करेंगे, और हमें क्या मिलेगा, डेटा मिल जाएगा. एज सिंपल एज दैट. हम ऐसे नहीं मिलेंगे कि हमें पहले डेटा को लिया हमने, फिर वहां पे हम इसको पेस्ट करेंगे, देन वी विल यूज इट. नो, that is not the correct way. And I can make you see we have lots of free APIs. GitHub free API, you can see. We have lots of free APIs, you can see guys. Okay, so from here you can use it. Now let's move. So guys, we have two methods. Generally we have there is lots of methods for calling the API. Calling the API, we have lots of method, but generally two methods is most used. That is, first one is the fetch and second one is Axios. First one is the fetch method and second one is what, Axios method. Okay guys, now let's understand about the fetch. Fetch is a web API that is present in the browser, just like the set interval, set timeout, set timeout. So fetch is like that. So fetch is a web API that is present in the browser, as simple as that. Now guys, there is a problem in using fetch. Why? Because when we call the API using fetch method, what happens, the data comes into the form of packets. We cannot get whole data at once using fetch. We cannot get whole data using fetch. We get data in the form of packets. So to get whole data at once, whole data at once, So to get whole data at once, we have a method dot json method. We have a method dot json method जो हमें डेटा टुकड़ों में मिल रहा था, जो पैकेट्स की फॉर्म में मिल रहा था, ये उस डेटा को क्या कर देगा, पूरे डेटा को हमें एक साथ दे देगा, वेट करेगा कि जब तक हमें पूरा डेटा ना मिल जाए. एज सिंपल एज दैट. So this JSON method allowing us to get whole data at once. As simple as that. As simple as that. Fetch fetch returns fetch returns a promise. Fetch returns a promise. I hope guys you are remembering that I have already told you about the promises. What is the promise? Either resolve or reject. Promise either resolve or reject. If it is resolve, then it is handled by dot then. If it is reject, then it is handled by dot catch. As simple as that. I hope you guys are familiar with them. Okay. So so let's use so let's use fetch. Now guys, before before using the fetch, this choose dot json method that we are using to get the data, full data at once, this json method also returns this json methods also returns a promise. This json data also returns a promise. So 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 it returns promise, so that means it will resolve or reject. Okay guys, it will resolve or reject. So let's move. Fetch, what we will write, we simply write fetch, then I am taking the API of Swiggy. Okay, I'm just copying it and just simply paste. नाउ मैंने क्या बताया था आप गाइस आपको कि ये क्या रिटर्न करता है, इट रिटर्न्स द प्रॉमिस. तो मैंने इस पर डॉट देन लगाया. ठीक है, डॉट देन भी क्या होता है, फंक्शन एक्सेप्ट करता है अपने अंदर. ठीक, अब देखो ये फंक्शन, अब जो प्रॉमिस होते हैं वो रिजॉल्व होंगे, फंक्शन विल बी रिजॉल्व और रिजेक्ट विद समथिंग, सो वी हैव टू कैच इट. तो मैंने यहाँ पे रिस्पॉन्स ले लिया. ओके, रिस्पॉन्स. अब क्योंकि मेरे को डेटा किस में मिल रहा होगा, आई विल गेट द डेटा इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पैकेट्स. सो टू ओवरकम द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम, वी विल यूज रिस्पॉन्स डॉट जेसन, जो हमें क्या देगा, डायरेक्टली होल डेटा दे देगा एक बार में. और ये भी गाइस हमें क्या रिटर्न करेगा, प्रॉमिस रिटर्न करेगा. तो इसको भी मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, डॉट देन ले सकता हूँ अगर ये रिजॉल्व होगा तो. लेट्स सपोज आई एम टेकिंग डेटा. ओके, और इधर आया फंक्शन कॉल हो रहा है. इधर आया हमारे पास, एक सेकंड गाइस. ओके, now I am taking this with the data. We will just simply console the data. Okay, console dot log data. If there is an error, if it will be reject, then we will use it will we will handle in dot catch. Let's suppose with some error, here are console dot log error. Okay, now let's run it. और इधर डाल देते हैं fetch. Okay, now let's see. ओपन विद लाइव सर्वर किया, कंसोल किया, ऑब्जेक्ट मिल रहा है, डेटा मिल रहा है. ओके, डेटा मिल रहा है. ओके, नाउ गाइस, if what if it will not use this JSON method. मैंने आपको उस केस में क्या बताया था कि हमें पैकेज की फॉर्म में डेटा मिलेगा, मतलब हमको मेटा डेटा मिलेगा, हमको हेडर मिलेंगे. ओके, सो मैं डायरेक्टली यहाँ पे रिस्पॉन्स को प्रिंट कर दे रहा हूँ. ओके, नाउ लेट्स सी. तो इस वाले को हमें हैंडल करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. नाउ लेट्स सी गाइस. इंस्पेक्ट किया, कंसोल पे गए, रिस्पॉन्स मिला. गाइज यू कैन सी दैट हमें यहाँ पे डेटा नहीं मिल रहा है, वी आर नॉट गेटिंग द इंटायर डेटा, वी आर नॉट गेटिंग द डेटा, हमें केवल हेडर्स और मेटा डेटा मिल रहा है. ओके, so this was the first method, this was the first way. Now second way is Axios. Second way is Axios. Guys, Axios is a third party. Axios is a third party. It is a library. It is third party library. It is a third party. It is a third party library. Okay. So we have to import it. We have to import it. So let us go to the documentation of Axios and let us see what we have to do. Axios CDN. to use to use the Axios, I have to add the CDN of Axios in our index.html file. So we are just copying it and we are just paste it over here. And the method that we are using right now is Axios methods of calling the API. Now what we are doing at the end of the day, we are getting the data. We are getting the data. We are fetching the data from the server from the by calling the API. We are just getting the data. So Axios have a methods we cannot access directly. We have a method Axios.get method and Axios.post method. ओके गाइस, हमारे पास यहाँ पे क्या होते हैं, मेथड्स होते हैं, गेट मेथड और पोस्ट मेथड. सो वी हैव टू स्पेसिफाई मेथड दैट वी आर यूजिंग. तो हमें मेथड्स को स्पेसिफाई करना होगा. हम गेट मेथड, हमें डायरेक्टली डेटा ही तो चाहिए, तो हम गेट मेथड का इस्तेमाल करेंगे, यूज करेंगे. एज सिंपल एज दैट. गाइस, ये जो एक्सियोस होता है ना, दैट इज ऑल्सो रिटर्न्स, दैट इज ऑल्सो रिटर्न्स अ प्रॉमिस. And promise either resolves or reject. If it is resolved, if it will resolve, then we will handle it using .then. If it will be reject, then we will handle it using .cast. As simple as that, nothing fancy. Now Axios come up with the advantage. With advantage, what we get if we are using the Axios to call the API, then we will get whole data, we will get whole data at once. It is not like the fetch. In fetch what will happen, what will happen, क्या होता है fetch में, क्या होगा fetch में, क्या होगा अगर हम fetch को यूज करेंगे. So in fetch we get the data in packets, but in Axios we get the data, whole data at once, in once, as simple as that. Okay guys, and Axios also returns promise. So if I ask you which one is better and which one is most preferred, which one is have a better advantage, that is Axios, then fetch. Axios and then fetch. Okay guys, so let's start. So for using the Axios method, we will write Axios and then Axios.get and then API. API I am taking this. ठीक है गाइस, हमने यहाँ पे इसको पेस्ट कर दिया. Then dot, then function चलेगा एक, it is response console.log response dot catch function trr console.log. Yeah. Now let's see. So guys, that is all about the API and the methods of API. I hope guys कि आपको समझ में आया होगा. Okay, so now you are pretty ready to make the projects. That is all about the API calling. Thank you guys.